What's going on, guys? It's your average consumer, and today we're going to be talking about a very special laptop from the folks over at MSI who are cool enough to sponsor today's video. But you guys might have seen me talk about this particular laptop in the past. This is MSI's GE66 Raider, which is an absolute beast of a laptop. This thing has all the bells and whistles, RTX 2080 Supermax Q, a 300 hertz refresh rate on the screen, as well as Intel's Core i9 processor. Lots of crazy stuff with this laptop. It's one of the best gaming laptops I've ever used. But when I talked about it, you guys were like, Judd, that price tag though. So I get it. We want something a little bit less expensive, but something just as good. And so we've got this guy over here, this MSI Stealth 15M, which has this amazing form factor while not giving up on the specs. Now, like I said, this thing has a great form factor. When it's closed, you guys can see just how thin it is. Now, this thing is 0.6 inches thick, weighs about 3.6 pounds. So this is super lightweight, super thin. Throwing this thing inside of a backpack is not gonna be an issue. It's not really going to weigh you down. It doesn't scream gaming laptop, which is something I really like about some of MSI's laptops, especially their Stealth line. Because look at this thing is clean. Right, Carl? What do you think?
Very clean.
Jay?
I think it's more better than the GE66.
Really? Okay, I get it. This looks more low-key. You don't see those lights in the front? Anyway, this thing is super stealthy, thus the name, looks clean, and this is in the carbon gray color. I believe there's a white version as well, but I really like the way this one looks. It has like a bluish tint to it, even though it is on the gray side. Still get some slightly blue vibes. Am I wrong here? You guys see that, or?
I see it.
You see it? Okay. And we got a pretty standard keyboard here with a single zone of RGB lights. So if you want, you can set it to one single color. I think it has some other patterns as well when you press this little button over here. But it isn't multi-zone, so you won't see a bunch of colors flying all over the keyboard, which might be fine if you want to keep this as a pretty clean, low-key laptop. And you also get access to a 720p webcam on top of the screen. Now, in terms of ports, what we're looking at is something pretty special, actually. So on the left side, we're looking at the power port, a micro SD card slot, as well as the USB 3.1 port over here, and your headphone jack. And on the right side, we've got your HDMI port, your second USB-A port, a Thunderbolt 4 port, which is amazing, as well as a USB 3.2 port. Now, the inclusion of a Thunderbolt 4 port is pretty huge as we're starting to see more and more Thunderbolt 4 accessories. But for me, the biggest part of it is that it supports power delivery up to 100 watts in, which means you can finally charge this entire laptop using this port, and it supports up to 100 watts. Now, to me, that's a big deal because I carry those kind of chargers with me for a bunch of my devices, and it's good to finally have a laptop that supports that. I hate getting these kind of laptops that have the Thunderbolt port and then you want to go and charge it, but you need the charger that it came with. There's no getting an additional or different kind of charger. This finally gives us the ability to not have to carry around the power adapter that this thing comes with. We can use something that we're probably using with other devices with this, so you don't have to carry a bunch of different chargers. That's a big deal to me. I'm actually really happy about that. Now, this to me is a very versatile laptop because not only is it super portable, but it also has the power to game. It's got an NVIDIA RTX 3060 graphics card, and we put that thing through its paces and it can handle quite a bit. So I'm actually really impressed with that, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But it also has Intel's 11th generation Core i7 H35 processors. So these are what a lot of these nice thin laptops are getting these days. And the fact that you're able to game on a laptop in this size is really impressive. Now, it might not have the 300 hertz display that we see with the GE66, but this one does have a 144 hertz display, which is way more than enough to get some really smooth gaming in. Now, like I said, this is a gaming laptop, but you can of course use it for more. If you want to do maybe like creative work and get some video editing in, you can absolutely do that here. But let's talk about the gaming aspect for a little bit. Now, you guys know me, you know I'm gonna play some first-person shooters, AKA Apex Legends. And I was able to game on it really, really well, of course, with my controller, because that's what I do. It was actually able to handle the game really well. You see some spikes all the way up to 144 FPS, but you'll typically, when you're in action, hit in that 80 to 90 mark. That's kind of where it sat most comfortably. And I gotta say, that kind of performance on a laptop like this is really impressive for a game like Apex Legends, because that game is not like your standard first-person shooter where you just a couple of guys shooting each other. That game has tons of abilities, all kinds of graphical elements flying all over the screen. So there's usually a lot going on, and this thing handles it really well. Now, of course, everything looks good because this thing does have the RTX 3060 inside of it, and that does give you a 25% performance bump compared to the last generation of this laptop. Now, of course, because this thing is an RTX laptop, that means if you're playing a game that supports ray tracing, you're gonna get those nice reflections that help the worlds look even more realistic and help with that immersion to feel like you're in a real actual world. So you get all of those cool, nice features inside of here as well. Now, I was personally playing Apex in extreme performance mode, but when you're in that mode, of course, you know those fans are going to kick up, they're gonna make some noise. But if you're playing a game like Apex or any other first-person shooter, chances are you'll probably want to play with some headphones. That's probably the best way to go about it. You get a nice headset, and then the fans aren't really an issue at that point. You can even play it in the lower settings if the fans are an issue, but you might not get that peak performance that you typically get when you're really pushing it. And if you're really big into tweaking your performance and your settings, you also have access to MSI's Dragon Sensor, where you can go in and dial in on the settings that you want, as well as customize those RGB lights that we have in the keyboard. I, of course, tried a couple of other games as well. We're actually able to get max frame rates on games like The Witcher. So on the gaming side of things, I was actually really happy with the performance that I got out of this, but I wanted to see what else it could do. Can it handle something like video editing? And we put it through its paces with Adobe Premiere, and we actually saw some pretty smooth results. Jay, what do we have? Like some 4K footage from the A7S?
10-bit footage. Regular playback, you can play in full body, which
Okay.
is very good for Premiere because I usually put it in like 1/4 quality.
Nice. So if you're investing in something like this, you're playing your games on it, and then who knows, maybe you want to open up a YouTube channel and you want to go ahead and use those game clips, you can go ahead and chop up some videos with the same laptop that you used to game on. So I feel like you can do quite a lot with this laptop, whether it's gaming or even some more creative work. And of course, it can handle all the everyday things like web browsing and listening to music, that kind of stuff. But it can do so much considering its overall form factor and the fact that it starts at $13.99, which I think is a really good price point if you want to invest in a laptop that can handle gaming very well and allow you to do a few other things. Because usually when you see a gaming laptop and you want it to be on ultra settings and you want it to have good frame rates, you're looking at like $1,800 plus, usually in the $2,000 range. And so this is gonna be great for someone who wants to invest in something high quality and you don't wanna use 2 stimmy checks on it.
One stimmy will get you good as this, y'all.
This is one stimmy check, you guys.
Stimmy.
Come on, Biden's giving these away. Now, so overall, I really like this laptop. The things that I would nitpick about and give you fair warning is you do get the one zone of RGB. I'm an RGB head, so I kind of care about that, but I know a lot of people don't. But aside from that, I think the only other complaint that I could have would probably just be like the placement for the speakers. I think the speakers get pretty loud. They do a pretty decent job at sounding good, but it is kind of easy to block it when it's on your lap. On a table like this, forget about it, you're good. But when it's in my lap, I did notice some fluctuations with the speakers. I did have to move it around to kind of get the sound that I wanted. Felt like I was blocking out the sounds pretty easily with my legs. So I definitely want to let you guys know about that. But for the most part, I'm actually pretty happy with this. Considering the price to performance ratio, I think you're getting a really solid buy out of this. This is a really nice looking and feeling laptop. You could even do stuff like this if you care. You guys know I'm a big fan of MSI and their laptops. I always carry an MSI laptop around with me, and I think this one's a go. So if you're looking for a nice portable gaming laptop, definitely check out this Stealth 15M. This is definitely gonna be on my list. For those of you who wanna spend maybe a little bit more than $1,000 on a laptop that will also perform really well. But that about wraps it up for this video, guys. If you wanna get your hands on these, I'll have links down below in the description for you to check out. But let me know what you guys think of the laptop down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be the cool guy or girl that gives it a thumbs up. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Till then, it's your average consumer. Peace.